Chapter 1. She Reborn at Midnight. Emma Johnson was dead. She died at the age of 26, and yet she was still alive. She had been reborn, thrust back into the 10th month after marrying Luke Taylor. If she followed her previous life trajectory, she would have discovered her pregnancy in 2 months. She had been too late to inform Luce in the past, only discovering the divorce agreements placed on the bedside table that fateful morning. She grabbed the agreement and rushed outside to find Luke, wanting to tell him she was carrying their child. Why did he want to divorce her? Couldn't he bear the whispers, the rumors? Or was it something else? She knew Luke never loved her, but her adoration for him was enough. As long as he didn't despise her, she believed that by continuously professing her love for him, she could one day move his heart to love her back. However, to her dismay, she never succeeded in thawing his icy heart. Everyone at the hospital said she was no match for Luke. He was one of America's most renowned medical doctors. She was a young intern, fresh out of medical school. He came from a well-known family of doctors and was a prominent figure. In Boston, she was a daughter of common wage earners. Their statuses were as different as night and day. As she hurried over, she paid no attention to the traffic light. When she landed in the middle of the road surrounded by her blood, she strained her vision, attempting to see a beautiful woman lying in Luce's arms. So, he had feelings for someone else all along. She was treated as a secondary character, easily disposable. When his true love returned, she was simply cast aside. So, he could also be tender-hearted, but unfortunately, she had never experienced such tenderness from him. Tears blurred her vision, despair took hold, and she closed her eyes. The past could not be revisited, but today was still in her hands. Since she had the chance to be reborn, this time she was going to make her life satisfying and live for herself. In her previous life, she tried to integrate into his family, suffered discrimination from her mother-in-law, and bullying from her sister-in-law, all for Luke. She endured it all. Now she no longer needed to endure. She and he were like two parallel lines that should never cross. If they were forced, the life they had created would be altered, leading to a miserable end. Since she decided to live for herself, she should stop herself from getting pregnant again and find an excuse to move out. She has the chance to be reborn before she's conceived. She would sign the divorce contract as soon as she received it 2 months later, making room for him and the woman he loved. No more being the submissive. It was now midnight. Strangely enough, she was born at midnight, and now even her rebirth occurred at the same time. Her tongue was parched, and her health deteriorated at this stage in her previous life. With a fever, she had laid in bed for 2 days before getting better. Wanting to pour herself a cup of water, she passed by Luce's study, a soft and magnetic voice drifting out from inside. Soon, "Don't be impatient." Her fingers tightened on the cup, turning white. Her other hand, gripping the office door handle, tightened. She wanted to barge in and confront him, ask him who he loved and why he'd chosen to marry her. Even though he loved another, why would he use her as cannon fodder? Didn't cannon fodder deserve love? Would she ever get an answer? A voice in her heart seemed to ask, "Didn't you see your answer in your horrid death in your past life? Do you want to humiliate yourself again?" This game of women chasing men should have been over long ago. Better to go out with a bang, to save face. Shortly afterward, her clenched fist loosened its grip on the door handle. In her previous life, Luce had always chosen to sleep in his office at this time, and he would make phone calls in the middle of the night. She, not knowing this before, now understood that he had called this person. The time difference between Boston and Wellington is 12 hours. It's daytime over there when it's midnight here. That woman should be home soon, and their divorce agreement will probably be handed to her, with as much precision as in her past life. She swallowed the rest of her water, 2 streams of tears sliding down her eyes. She returned to her room, lay on the bed, turned off the lights, and had sweet dreams. The next day, when she woke up, Luke was already dressed and standing in front of the wardrobe. Heaven had blessed him with a good family and a handsome appearance. With his well-defined eyebrows, bridge-like nose, and a pair of deep, enchanting eyes that always displayed a hint of a smile, he gave off an impression of cool nobility. No wonder the female doctors, nurses, and even the janitors liked him. To put it simply, every single female couldn't help but turn their head at the sight of him. And had she not also been bewitched by his handsome face in her past life? It was love at first sight. Serves you right. As a superficial woman obsessed with her appearance, it's no surprise that such a fate of death and disaster befell her. If there's any blame to be laid, it's her stupidity and ignorance. Doesn't she look in the mirror? How dare she desire less? A man adored and pursued by all like a shining pearl in the sky. Has she lost her mind? Have you lost your mind? Luke elegantly knotted his tie, his thin lips parted to ask Emma. Seeing that she was sitting in a puzzled daze, his dark eyebrows furrowed in slight displeasure. What? As she wondered if she had lost her mind, she heard Luke's mockery. His voice was like a trickle of waterstone, deep but appealing, pleasant but poignant. If she had not been cannon fodder, she might have rushed to him and embraced him affectionately. Chapter 2. Veiled Criticism. If you still have a cold, rest well. I will help you ask Director Fred at the hospital for a leave of absence. No need, thank you. I'm fine. Emma avoided his gaze because those beautiful, seductive eyes had once lost her. Rejecting the thin blanket, she revealed a sexy, strapless nightgown. This piece had been given to her by her former classmate and best friend, who claimed that wearing it would arouse the interest of her husband, Luck. Indeed, the dress succeeded in bewitching her on several occasions. She used to wear nightdresses with pretty cartoon images on them until Lisa Miller, her friend, made fun for being old-fashioned. Lisa warned that if she didn't learn to dress, her husband would be seduced by other women. Not that she didn't know how to dress up, it was that she preferred younger and livelier clothes, while Lisa chose more mature, sexier clothes for her. According to Lisa, beauty is worthless in the face of elegance. Indeed, Lisa had a gift for choosing clothes. The nightgown highlighted her sexy clavicles and charming swan neck. Her slender legs were also highlighted. Unbeknownst to her, Luke was hypnotized, his gaze roaming over her figure. She slipped on her slippers, went into the bathroom to freshen up, and then made her way to the hospital. Once she closed the bathroom door, Luce's fingers twitched slightly. Was she a bit different today? Luke didn't dwell on it. He just drove to the hospital. He didn't like having extra people in his car. His family had worried about him driving alone and arranged for him to have a personal driver, but he had refused. So, he didn't want Emma to join him on his drives to the hospital. Previously, she had not minded, as she always took the metro or a bus to work. As a young doctor, she didn't have her own office. A glance at her watch confirmed that she had enough time for breakfast on the way. She bought a cup of milk and a sweet cake. She didn't like sweet cakes, but she'd changed her spicy diet because Luke liked sweets. After taking a few bites, she threw the cake into the trash can. She believed she should stay true to herself. Why change for someone who doesn't love her? Why make concessions for others? Having changed so much that she couldn't recognize herself anymore, did she still have the right to love others? Could others still love her? From that moment, she wanted to be herself again. She no longer wanted to grovel and please anyone. She is herself. The carefree, the real me. Upon arriving at the hospital, she put on her white lab coat, tied her hair into a ponytail, changed into flats, and walked into the doctor's office. Upon entering the office, she heard Nurse Maya Drake and Janice Wood whispering to each other, Dr. Janice. Why are some people so unbelievably lucky? Mia, just focus on your work. Everyone's fate is different. Just accept it. Dr. Janice. But I just can't stand it. What do I lack compared to her? Why did Dr. Luke choose to marry her? Maybe others aren't as innocent and harmless as they appear to be? Maybe that's what Dr. Luce prefers? She's here. Stop talking now. Mia became flustered when she saw Emma coming in. She quickly shot a glance at Janice, signaling her to be quiet. Emma looked at Mia and Janice, a faint smile on her lips. Nurse Maya, I know you like my husband. You can confess to him. As long as he accepts you, you can have my place as Mrs. Luke. Dr. Emma, no, I didn't mean anything. I was just joking with Dr. Janice. Mia looked embarrassed, forcing a smile. However, her heart felt as if it had been struck. She slipped behind Janice, her face pale. What's wrong with this woman today? Usually, she turns a deaf ear to all the gossip about her. Why is she acting so different today? Emma turned her cold gaze to Janice. Dr. Janice, you're right. My husband loves my innocent nature. He despises gossipy women who stir up trouble. You, enraged, Janice's complexion darkened, and she retorted scornfully. Emma, what makes you so arrogant? Even if you have made it to his bed and the doorstep of the Taylor family, do they accept you? Emma usually doesn't bother arguing, as she's afraid of causing any negative impact on Luce in the hospital. But now that she's decided to leave, why should she tolerate such devious individuals? Emma nonchalantly threw out a phrase, which rendered Janice's face so red her expressions seemed distorted. Why did you try to crawl onto his bed but got kicked off instead? Before, when she heard their behind-the-scenes mockery, she pretended not to hear. As a doctor with basic dignity, she wouldn't stoop to such pettiness. But some people take your leniency for granted, returning your peacekeeping efforts not with respect, but with entitlement. So, why should she continue to forbear? Janice, who was usually quiet and passive, never thought she would choose to fight back, even rendering her speechless. She groped for more words to counter. What? What nonsense are you talking about? Again, Emma replied unaffectedly. Huh. I thought you were resentful because you tried to crawl onto my husband's bed and were kicked off. So, did you take out your anger on his wife? In the past, I tolerated you just to avoid trouble, not because I was afraid of you. Emma's icy and piercing gaze made Janice shrink back, avoiding her chilling stare. Seeing Emma behaving unusually, Mia quickly pulled Janice to check on the patients before everyone in the office arrived. Dr. Janice, calm down and stop arguing. Others will arrive soon. It won't be good if they hear more unpleasant words from her. Janice was brought back to reality by Mia's words. After leaving the office, she expressed her resentment. What does she have to be proud of? She has to squeeze onto the subway and bus just to come to the hospital. Even Dr. Luce refuses to give her a ride to work. It's obvious how much he dislikes her. Huh. Emma didn't respond to Janice's words. Both of them were doctors who started at the same time and shared an office. But she disliked keeping company with such people. She calmly checked her badge, straightened her appearance, and looked at her reflection in the mirror. At 26 years old, it wasn't too late, was it? It was 13, 40. Luke had just finished his operation, taken off his surgical suit, and after washing up, donned his white robe and returned to the surgical office. Typically, at this time, Emma would leave her lunchbox on his desk. But now, his desk was empty, with no food box in sight. His eyebrows furrowed as he glanced at the time and asked his assistant, Beneath Cooper? Did no one come today? Beneath, who was also known as Benneth Young, his assistant, looked puzzled. Dr. Luck, you had surgery this morning. Everyone knew that, so no one came looking for you. How could that be? Wondered Luck. Didn't Emma always keep track of his operation schedule very precisely? On the days when he had surgeries, she always prepared his lunch and left it in a thermos box at a specific spot. Why wasn't it there today? He hesitated, wondering whether he should give her a call to find out. Chapter 3. Change. She usually called him and left messages on Messenger. Dear husband, your lunchbox is on your work table. Remember to eat. Love you. Shouldn't she have at least informed him on Messenger, even if she didn't prepare a meal? No calls or messages, what was going on? He hesitated for a moment, then picked up his cell phone and dialed Emma's number. But it rang for quite some time with no one picking up. Did he call her and she didn't answer? What was going on? Feeling a bit hungry, he decided to head downstairs for a meal. His office was on the 8th floor, while Emma's was on the 4th. He stopped by her office, curious why she hadn't made him a meal. Was she simply too busy and forgot? If so, he might be willing to forgive her. Arriving at the 4th floor, the moment he stepped out of the elevator, a nurse came up to him with a friendly smile. Hello, Dr. Look. He merely nodded slightly and headed towards Emma's office. Dr. Janice? It's Dr. Luce, said a nurse. What? Why was Dr. Luce on the 4th floor? Had he come looking for Emma? Janice's face lit up with joy. She hastily asked Mia, quick, check for me. Is my makeup still okay? A trace of contempt flashed quickly in Mia's eyes, but she hid it well. Her face remained pleasant as she softly said, Dr. Janice, your makeup is still very refined. It's not messed up. Janice took out her mirror to check her reflection, reapplied her lipstick, and swiftly tucked the mirror and lipstick into her white coat, then hurriedly followed behind Luke. Dr. Taylor, Janice called from behind, her voice laced with charm. What is it? Luke turned around, his tone icy cool. Janice giggled prettily. Dr. Taylor, are you looking for Dr. Johnson? Her soft and coquettish voice continued. Luke merely replied with a nonchalant, Mom. Unfortunately, Dr. Johnson was summoned by Director Fred. Luke arrived at the office and noticed Emma's absence, disappointment flickering in his eyes as he prepared to leave. Not willing to let this golden opportunity slip by, Janice quickly stepped forward, delicately tucking a lock of hair behind her ear, and said earnestly, Taylor, do you have business with her? Why don't you wait here? Perhaps Dr. Johnson will be back soon. Luke took a step back from her overpowering perfume and frowned, saying, No need. A blush crept up on Janice's face. Janice, indeed, was a remarkable beauty, a captivating presence who had once been regarded as the most enchanting among all her medical colleagues. It was difficult to find a senior or junior in her field who did not take the time to compliment her striking beauty at every opportunity. With a figure that many would describe as devilishly alluring, boasting measurements of 36 CE, it was no surprise that Luck found himself drawn to her and spent considerable moments admiring her. Her allure was not just in her physical appearance. It was also the confidence she exuded that compelled those around her to appreciate her even more. Luce's demeanor was cold and stern, tinged with displeasure. It was his first visit to the 4th floor to find her, but he was met with an empty seat and an empty stomach. Noticing Luce's poor mood, Janice secretly wondered, did Emma upset Luck? With the way she was behaving today, perhaps the two of them had a falling out yesterday. Upon this thought, she felt a surge of joy. What was Emma, anyway? Sooner or later, Dr. Taylor would shake her off. Divorce was only a matter of time. Testing the waters, Janice ventured to ask, Dr. Taylor, did Dr. Johnson upset you? Luke didn't answer her question. He simply bypassed her and headed towards the elevator. Dr. Taylor, take your time. Come back next time. Seeing Luce's unhappy face, she could almost guess what had happened. It must be that stupid woman, Emma, who annoyed him, and she wore a look of schadenfreude on her face. As Luce entered the elevator, ready to press the button for the basement, he spotted Emma stepping out of another one. He quickly halted the closing door and exited. Emma. With her hands in the pockets of her white coat, Emma turned and asked coolly, "What brings you here?" She displayed no enthusiasm and seemed disinterested in approaching him. Her hair was pulled back in a loose ponytail, with strands framing her forehead, giving her a more casual, carefree look. Her once expressively watery apricot eyes now appeared indifferent and distant beneath naturally arched eyebrows. Lou felt a pang of disappointment. Squinting slightly, his eyes revealed a hint of coldness. "Can't I come? Have you finished the surgery?" Emma was accustomed to his cold words, which sharply contrasted with the gentle tone he used when speaking to someone from Country M in his study. How had she failed to notice this difference? For 3 to 4 years, she had played the role of a pathetic admirer, only to meet her end in the middle of the road. How can someone hide their feelings every day? It's all her fault. She's supposed to be an insignificant side character, but deludes herself into thinking she's the protagonist. Reflecting on her past, Emma's eyes showed deep regret as she glanced at the man before her with resentment. Did she even remember I had surgery today? I thought she had forgotten. So where's my meal? Luce's peach blossom eyes frosted over, cool and indifferent. I haven't had my meal yet. Emma tightened her grip on her white coat, her lashes lowering to conceal the turmoil in her eyes. Then go eat quickly. I still have a report to write. She turned away, disregarding his next words. Her eyes glistened behind her thick lashes, afraid that if she looked at him too long, she'd confront him. What do you think I am? Your nanny? Does the Taylor family need one? Why marry me if you love someone else? Is it because I'm naive, calm, undemanding, always putting you first, and easy to manipulate? Is my love for you making me fear losing you, leading me to tolerate your infidelity? When you choose to confront me or discard me, will I be left with nothing, no background, no family wealth, and no way to hold on to you? Luce watched her leave, her figure steadfast and cold, both heroic and charming. Though usually unyielding, he felt a fleeting distraction. Was he blaming her for catching a cold and fever while he wasn't by her side? Or for not taking her back to the old house over the weekend? A moment later, Lou loosened his tie, feeling bothered. How come he was distracted because of her? The phone in the pocket of her white coat vibrated. Her slender fingers slid to answer the call. "Grandma, Luke, don't forget to come back and have dinner with Grandma this weekend. Remember to bring Emma along. You missed out last time owing to your work. Don't forget this time. I was preoccupied last time. Didn't I ask Emma to accompany you to the old house? Did she upset Grandma?" Judging from Grandma's tone, it seems there is some dissatisfaction. Do you finally have some free time? It's always Emma who visits. You rarely come by, and even then, it's just with her. What can I say about you? Sensing Grandma's complaints, Luke rubbed his forehead. Grandma, I understand. I haven't eaten yet, so I'll hang up now. Madame Taylor expressed concern. What? You haven't had breakfast yet? Didn't Emma make it for you? Grandma, let's talk later. I need to eat first. Emma also received a call from Luce's grandma. Grandma, are you okay? Emma, I'm fine. My health is good. Remember to come with Luke this weekend for a meal at the old mansion? The weekend. Emma hesitated. That worked out. She needed to finish Director Fred's task ahead of schedule. After working overtime, she could take a leave. Yes, the weekend. Are you busy? Madame Taylor frowned slightly, wondering why they both seemed so occupied. No problem, Grandma. We'll visit the old mansion this weekend. Good, Emma. Luke works hard every day and often feels tired. You should take better care of him. Make sure he eats on time, and if necessary, prepare meals in advance since his stomach isn't great, and he can't afford to go hungry. 2 months ago, Luke traveled to Boston, and since returning, his stomach issues have been more easily triggered. Concerned for his health, Emma started making him nourishing meal daily, which has helped keep his stomach disorder at bay. Is Grandma reminding her? I understand. I'll ensure he eats well. In the future, other women would take care of him. She was merely extra. He claimed he was in Boston for academic exchange. But really, he went to see his sweetheart, didn't he? Those who accompanied him returned a month early, yet he deliberately stayed over a month longer. If it was solely for academic purposes, he wouldn't need to wear himself out like that. If he didn't care for his health, why should she, an unnecessary outsider, worry about it? Emma still had to write up a piece of medical theory, so she needed to research resources and literature. She was incredibly busy and also needed to return to her old home over the weekend. Despite her busy schedule, she started racing against time. Chapter 4: A Humble Past. Luke returned home late at night to find the lights dimmed. A wave of annoyance swept over him. Had she not come home yet? Or had she gone to bed early? He had deliberately chosen to return in the middle of the night, intending to give Emma the cold shoulder. However, instead of upsetting her, he ended up upsetting himself. Even if he arrived home late, there was usually a light left on in the living room for him. Emma would wait for him on the sofa, rubbing her eyes as he stepped through the door. She would approach him, asking with concern, "Honey, you're home? Honey, have you eaten? Honey, you must be tired. Go wash your hands. I'll serve dinner." Their house felt empty lately, with Mayline taking a few days off. When he spotted Emma's slippers still by the door, he knew she hadn't come home. After changing into his house shoes and loosening his tie, he sank into the sofa and dialed Emma's number. How wonderful she hadn't come home or called or texted him. He had returned home hungry, hoping to enjoy the meal she had prepared. But was he the joke here? How utterly absurd. Emma was busy researching medical information, with several textbooks laid out on her desk. Wearing a pair of black-framed glasses, she typed vigorously on her laptop. Her phone was on silent, and the screen flashed with the words "beloved." Emma focused solely on completing the theoretical report that her supervisor, Director Fred, had tasked her with, completely failing to notice the incoming call on her phone. The line kept ringing until the message, "The number you have dialed is currently unavailable. Please try again later," appeared before he hung up. Luke then texted Emma on Messenger, "Why haven't you returned yet?" Feeling it was too direct, he deleted it and edited it too. "Where are you?" On the other end, Emma had finished checking the materials and writing her report, but she had fallen asleep at her desk from exhaustion, not paying attention to Messenger. Luke waited for a long time and still didn't get a reply. Anger was visible in his eyes. He held his clenched fists, but somehow felt an inexplicable fear in his heart. At 6:30, Emma woke up. The hospital's on-call room had a simple bed for short naps, which she had crawled onto at 4 and slept until 6:30. She pulled out her cell phone, pressed it once, and saw a black screen. The phone was out of power. After charging and turning it on, a message popped up. Whenever a red notification appeared on Messenger, she hoped it was a reply from Luck. Looking at it, it was indeed Luce's avatar, which made Emma's heart pound, but calm, soon returned. It turned out that seeing his name would still make her heart skip a beat, but she no longer expected anything. This pounding was because she had been chasing him for 3 years. Whenever she sent him a message, she looked forward to his reply. Each time there was a new notification, her heart would race, and she would eagerly set aside whatever she was doing to see what he had replied. Sometimes Messenger would show that someone was messaging her, but it wasn't Luck, which left her disappointed. Eventually, she set all her colleagues and friends to mute notifications, so that if there was a red notification, there was a 90% chance it was luck. Remembering her foolishness from the past made her smile, but the smile felt empty and cool. Every time she sent numerous messages, he would either not reply or respond with a simple yes, busy, or just a period. She was always the one chattering, her passion for him seemingly inexhaustible. Now she knew that not replying or sending a single period meant he didn't want to engage because he found her annoying. But out of basic courtesy, he would send a yes or a period to end the topic. His messenger avatar showed Luck walking on a tree-lined path with a backpack, which she figured represented his sunny personality. Unlike his current cold demeanor, just looking at the brand of his backpack, which had a slogan of "With the Light," represented vitality. Once, she had asked him with a smile, "Why do you use this image of your back as your avatar? Does it have any special meaning?" Lou simply replied coldly, "No." Emma opened the message he had sent her. Suddenly, several words appeared. "Where are you? Are you busy?" It was unprecedented for her to receive 3 consecutive messages from Luck. This must be the most he had ever replied to her in the past 3 to 4 years. She didn't reply, just scrolling through the chat history at the top of the screen. "Honey, when will you be back? A new colleague joined the department today. She and my dad are from the same hometown, honey. Grandma is asking why you didn't come. I told her you had surgeries and a conference due to work. Cute emoticon, honey. Where are you? I made a soothing dinner for you. Remember to have it when you come back. Take care of yourself. Love you." When she reached the top of the chat history, she couldn't hold back her tears any longer, which fell onto the screen. Seeing so many messages she had sent him, and how he either wouldn't reply or would just respond with a word, she felt so pathetic. Why was she so lowly? If someone didn't want to reply to you or pay attention to you, then why keep throwing herself at them? What flower has bloomed? It's nothing but a disgraceful flower of shame. A feeling of humiliation welled up. She cleared the screen, deleting all of the chat records. The chat logs could be deleted, but how could she wash away the humiliation etched deep into her bones? Once, she lost her mobile phone. Although she reclaimed the SIM card, the chat records could not be recovered even after reinstalling messengers. She cried for a long time because she couldn't retrieve the original conversations. For this, she even bought software online, trying to restore the lost chat records, but still did not retrieve the complete record. She wanted to block him, to eradicate him from her life. But it would take time. Maybe in 2 months, it would be completely over. She renamed Luck in her contacts as ZNGB both for his number and messenger. She didn't want to live in eternal darkness. Once, she believed he would be her light, illuminating her future direction. Without him, she would fall into the dark abyss. She was her light. She didn't need anyone else's light to shine brightly. Emma went to the bathroom to wash up. She had spare toiletries at the hospital. She bought breakfast from the cafeteria and sat in a corner, quietly enjoying her meal toast, coffee, and fruit. No more sweet. Lou came to the cafeteria. He brought his breakfast to her table, croissants, juice, and pastries. Emma glanced at him, then lowered her eyes. "Good morning." Lou's tall figure blocked her view. Not checking messenger? The light in his eyes varied in depth, but they were filled with a cold fury. "No one will look for me, so I didn't bother checking." Lou frowned, looking cold. "Am I not a person? Why didn't you answer when I called you multiple times?" Luke put down the food tray, sitting opposite her, staring at her with deep eyes, his face ice cold. Emma didn't look at him again, her demeanor indifferent as ice. She calmly said, "Sorry, my phone was on silent." These past couple of days, Luke had felt that something was off with Emma. Her attitude towards him wasn't as enthusiastic as before. No, one could say she was paying him lip service. His thin lips pressed together as annoyance accumulated in his chest and anger he couldn't vent. He unconsciously clenched the cutlery in his hand. "Emma, let's go to my parents' house this weekend." Emma seemed to have little to say to him. Perhaps she thought she had been too noisy in the past. It was only after dying once that she learned the meaning of silence. But it was quite strange. Why was Luke eating breakfast in the cafeteria? And why was he sharing a table with her? In the past, she had pestered him, wanting him to bring her to the cafeteria for meals. It was a small plot of hers. She just wanted to announce to the world that he was taken, to keep other women from fancying him. But Lou had never agreed, not even once. For 3 or 4 years, she had always been the one moving closer to him, while he maintained an aloof and indifferent demeanor. Chapter 5. How Others See Her. The nurse and female doctor nearby whispered, "Dr. Taylor is really handsome." Their eyes sparkled with admiration, almost fixated on him. Another chimed in, "He's so charming, isn't he? It's rare to see him here. Shouldn't he have his usual spot? Are you blind? Can't you see Emma sitting with him?" The 3 of them exchanged remarks. All they noticed is a handsome man. No one else. Ha ha. The women at the neighboring table also turned their attention to the scene, whispering among themselves. Do they even look like a couple? They seem so distant. They don't interact or make eye contact at all. Yeah, it seems like Dr. Taylor doesn't look too happy either. Oh, you don't know. Dr. Taylor has never been fond of Dr. Johnson. That sounds a bit harsh. Ah, you wouldn't know, would you? Doc Johnson chased after Dr. Taylor for 3 years, expressing her feelings while following him like a shadow. The whole hospital knew about it. Understandably, you missed it since you haven't been here long. Upon hearing the gossip brewing at this table, people from the adjacent table wanted to join in and move toward them with their food trays. Thus, the original trio became 5 or 6 people, soon turning into a group of 7 or 8 gathered around the table. What? There's such gossip. This sounds like a classic tale. Please, tell us more. The new nurse's eyes lit up with curiosity. She spoke animatedly, like a storyteller, at first. Dr. Johnson would send flowers and chocolates to Dr. Taylor's office every day. Someone quickly commented, "That's a bit intense, isn't it? Usually, it's men who send flowers to women, not the other way around." Another person added, "If it's for Valentine's Day or a special occasion, that's one thing. But this seems excessive. Only such dedication could win Dr. Taylor's heart, unlike us common folks. We know our place and feel we can't reach someone like him." You're implying she's desperate, aren't you? That's a bit harsh. Could you be quiet? Can't you see the truth behind appearances? Look at their current state, there's no sign of love between them. Even if she did successfully pursue him, did Dr. Taylor ever seem to care? Several people nodded in agreement. Girls shouldn't throw themselves at guys. It won't be appreciated. Some people are just out of reach for ordinary folks like us. It's best to admire attractive people from afar. Let's learn from these mistakes. Quit calling me harsh. Aren't you just as bad? Their story could be framed as a passionately infatuated female doctor ardently pursues a handsome American-trained doctor, resulting in an emotionally distant relationship. This should serve as a cautionary tale. Everyone, even though the comments were whispered, every word reached Emma's ears. Luke took a phone call, oblivious to the gossip surrounding them. As Emma held a cup of milk, the drink inside swirled around, spilling onto the table. She hurriedly pulled out a napkin to clean up the mess, her eyes unfocused, her face drained of color. Feeling as cold as the wind outside, she stood up, grabbed her phone, and left. Luke had just hung up when he noticed Emma leaving hastily from the corner of his eye. Stop talking. Did she hear that? Everyone looked at each other, trying to figure out who the real troublemaker was. Emma didn't take the elevator. Like a headless chicken, she avoided the crowd through the fire exit, climbed several flights of stairs, and arrived at a deserted area. Trembling, she leaned against the wall to steady herself. Slowly, she squatted in the corner, her fists clenched against her pale lips. As pain surged, tears welled up in her eyes. What was wrong with what those people said in the cafeteria? Nothing. She was just too blind to see. She had been desperately chasing someone who didn't love her for 3 years. What ridiculous things hadn't she done? Now she had become the butt of others' jokes, a source of entertainment for them. Who could she blame? It was all her choice. Wouldn't regret being useless. Her nails dug deeply into her skin. Her phone rang. It was a call from Lisa. Emma gathered herself, wiped her tears, and answered, "Hey, Lisa. Have you missed me?" "Emma, you're back?" Lisa sounded surprised. "Of course. I just got home. What's up? Why does your voice sound choked? Were you bullied? Was it Lus?" Lisa's caring words warmed Emma's heart. Clearing her throat, Emma forced a laugh. "I caught a cold these past few days, just getting over it. No one bullied me, and no one will bully me anymore. There are still people in the world who care about you. If Luke bullied you, you can't keep it to yourself. Just call me, and I, as your big sister, will come right away to have your back." "No way. How could you bear to come back?" Emma thought about Lisa's demeanor, fearing what trouble might stir if things turned sour, and quickly changed the subject. Lisa laughed. "What are you saying? My best friend is here. My studio is here. Where else could I go?" "Haha. You were supposed to be off finding your first love on some island, weren't you? I thought I'd be getting your wedding invitation soon." Emma always found herself laughing when chatting with Lisa. You and your relentless sarcasm. The two always teased each other, never getting angry or falling out. "When will you come over? I brought you a gift from the island. Guess what it is?" "What else could it be? If it's not clothes, it's a handbag. What kind of creative gift could you possibly give?" "You rascal. I want to punch you. When are you free?" "Next week. I have to go back to my parents' house this weekend. Speaking of which, is Luce's grandma truly nice to you? Why does it feel like an interrogation every weekend?" Emma's heart fluttered slightly. No problem. She's just concerned about her grandson. After all, he's the only one to carry on the family name. She has to be apprehensive, right? Lisa frowned. "You're too kind-hearted. Haven't you heard the saying, 'Kind people are often taken advantage of, my friend. Toughen up.' You're not their hired help. If they don't treat you right, tell me. Worst case scenario, we can go on our own. But never allow yourself to be mistreated." Lisa always had a refreshing perspective. If Emma had Lisa's clear-headedness, how could she possibly be smothered by Luce's indifference? Thankfully, it's not too late for everything. Chapter 6. No longer will serve. Luke tried to call Emma, but the line was busy. Who could she be talking to for so long? Resentment bubbled in his chest. In the last 2 days, he had been irritated by her more times than he could count. He picked up his phone and typed a message. "You didn't finish your breakfast. Where are you off to so early?" It didn't feel right, so he deleted it. He tried again. "Why is your phone always busy?" Still unsatisfied, he deleted that too. Frustrated, he loosened his collar and put his phone down, determined not to touch it again. Emma had just hung up the phone, feeling as if the scene in the cafeteria had never happened. After she chatted with Lisa, she felt more at ease. Back in her office, she dove into her busy workday. She meticulously reviewed the theoretical report she had written before sending it to Fred. After reading it, Fred replied, "Well done. Have you considered the support mission to the West?" The medical team was scheduled to provide free consultations to underserved populations in remote areas in 2 weeks. They would be away for a month before returning to Boston. Had she made up her mind? Had she discussed it with her family? She told Fred she would reply next Monday, to which he replied, "Okay." In reality, she had already made her decision. She just needed to go home and discuss it with her parents. It might be a good opportunity to leave Boston for a while, unburdened by luck. She expected to receive the divorce agreement soon and wanted her parents to be prepared. She feared they wouldn't handle it well, especially considering her father's high blood pressure. When Emma returned home and saw Maylene busy in the kitchen, she switched to her slippers before approaching. "Maylene, you're back. Is your grandson feeling better?" Maylene looked a bit embarrassed. She had only intended to take 2 days off, but family matters had delayed her return by a week. "Yes, Dr. Johnson. He's better. That's why I could come back." Emma asked with concern. "What happened? Was it serious?" "Not really. The doctor said it was a lung infection. He'll be fine after a few days in the hospital. You and your family need to be more careful. If cold and fever medicine doesn't work, you should go to a proper hospital. Otherwise, it could easily develop into pneumonia." Many parents don't pay attention to this. They think that some medicine will fix everything, and they only take their child to the hospital when it's too late. Maylene smiled warmly. "Thank you for your concern, Dr. Johnson." Fortunately, the child's mother noticed in time and took him to the hospital. "From now on, just call me Emma. You always used to call me that. Why did you change?" Emma frowned slightly. She wasn't used to being called doctor at home. The home was for relaxation, and the work was for the office. Maylene wanted to call her Emma, but Luke had insisted on Mrs. Taylor. Perhaps deep down, she still hadn't accepted Emma as part of the family. "Emma, you're such a good person. Mr. Taylor is lucky to have married you." Maylene's sincerity caught Emma off guard. She had taken care of Lus, even learning to cook dinner, becoming better than a professional chef. Emma paused. Was she his good fortune? Luke didn't seem to think so, and neither did his family. "Maylene, I may need to go out west for a month soon. I'd appreciate it if you could take care of Luke during that time." Usually, she referred to him as my husband, with a soft glow in her eyes. But now she found it hard to say those words, knowing he would soon be someone else's husband. Maylene paused, sensing something was off. Did Emma fight with Lus while she was away? "Oh, right, Maylene. I'll write down the method for making dinner for you. You can make it for him while I'm gone." His stomach problems seemed to have resurfaced. Since her return from abroad, his issues had started up again. The family in the old house believed it was because she didn't pay enough attention to him. Since their marriage, she felt less like a wife and more like a housekeeper. Why else would they label her that way? Last weekend, Luke's grandmother had bombarded her with questions. How was Luce's appetite? Had he gained or lost weight? How much could he eat in a day? Were his stomach issues recurring? She even asked about the soups she had made and if the ingredients were from reputable stores. As his wife, you must take good care of him. He's busy with work and can't manage these things, so you need to show extra concern. Thinking about this made Emma dread visiting the old house. It felt like an interrogation. She believed Jane Taylor and sister didn't like her, but at least his grandmother seemed to care. Who would have known that this love came with such high expectations? Realizing this, Emma decided to stop acting as a housekeeper. She didn't want to tend to another woman's man. That task would fall to Maylene. After several phone calls with Lisa, Emma felt much more relaxed. Instead of worrying about others, why not focus on herself? Maylene sensed something was different. She had never seen Emma speak about luck so casually. The tone was almost foreign. "Emma, are you planning to be away for a month?" Does he know? Surely they must have discussed it. How else would she dare to leave? Emma had always cherished luck like a fragile jewel. "Maylene, he knows. From now on, you'll take care of his meals." I've been busy with work lately. After chatting with Mayline for a while, Emma went upstairs to start packing. She wanted to transfer some luggage to her parents' house first. She couldn't stay in this house for long. Luke came home early today because he had to return to his family's house the next day. Upon arriving, he noticed a silhouette bustling around in the kitchen. He thought it was Emma and felt his pent-up anger begin to dissipate. "Mr. Taylor, you're home. Dinner is almost ready. Why is it you?" Hearing Maylane's voice, Luce's fleeting good mood evaporated, and his eyebrows furrowed in frustration. Why can't it be Emma? Maylane was slightly baffled. Was Mr. Taylor surprised to see her? Was he expecting it to be Emma? Maylane suddenly sensed something was wrong. It seemed the couple had a falling out. First, Emma had come home with a changed demeanor, and now Luce was showing signs of anger. Who can save me from this awkward situation? Maylane thought, panicking. I'll call Emma down for dinner. Did she come back? Why didn't she come downstairs immediately when I got home like she used to? Didn't she hear me? Maylene, could you please pour me a cup of juice? Luce said loudly, hoping Emma might hear him. Maylene hesitated, finally regaining her voice. Oh, Mr. Taylor, right away. She opened the refrigerator slowly, pouring juice into a glass. Her hands trembled slightly as she wondered if this was the right moment to serve it. Should she wait for Emma to come down? But it took Maylene 8 minutes to finally bring the juice. Mr. Taylor, here's your juice. She gingerly placed the glass on the coffee table, not daring to breathe too heavily. Lou's handsome face was icy, making the room feel suddenly colder. Maylene, Mr. Taylor's stomach isn't in good shape. It's better to warm the juice a little, Emma said as she came downstairs. Mom Maylene saw her savior and quickly responded. I forgot momentarily. You're always so attentive. I'll heat it right away. Mr. Taylor? Not husband anymore? It was husband that not long ago, and now it's Mr. Taylor? Luck squinted at Emma as she descended the stairs. She didn't rush to him, cling to his arm, or say affectionate words like, Husband, you're back. Are you hungry? Dinner will be ready soon. Instead, after a glance, she turned away and walked back into the kitchen, acting as if he didn't exist. Luke untied his tie and went to wash his hands. In the past, this had always been Emma's task. She would help him loosen his tie before urging him to wash his hands for dinner. Chapter 7. That Person's Messenger. Emma was serving rice in the kitchen. After preparing it, she sat down at the dining table. Time for dinner. I'm hungry. Sitting across from her was Luce, silent and focused. His warm, expressive eyes were fixed on her face, causing her a bit of discomfort. To break the silence, she spoke up. Mayline made the dinner you like. Emma only said this much and fell silent. Without her usual chatter, Luke felt a strange distance between them. Go to the old mansion tomorrow. Bring some oatmeal porridge for Grandma before you go. Isn't there a housekeeper at the old mansion? Grandma likes the porridge you make. Her cholesterol is a bit high. She needs to drink more oatmeal porridge. Emma felt a surge of frustration. Family or not, it seemed like both he and his grandmother viewed her as nothing more than a caretaker. Maylene, please prepare a pot of oatmeal porridge tomorrow morning. I'll take it to the old mansion. Mayline, who was still in the kitchen, was about to respond when Luce interjected sharply. Emma! What kind of attitude is this? Grandma specifically wants the one you make, and you want to pass it off to Mayline? Did she hold so little value in Luce's eyes? She could make stew for him and porridge for his grandmother, as if that was the only reason he had agreed to marry her in the first place. It was true, why waste a free maid? When that woman from overseas returned, her worth was easily replaced, and he handed her the divorce papers without a second thought. In her previous life, she had been so eager to surprise him with the news of her pregnancy, but during those 2 days of silence, Luke had blocked her on Messenger and blacklisted her number. She couldn't reach him, and her surprise never got through. Instead, he managed to give her a surprise of his own. Lou, sitting opposite her, was unaware of the emotional storm brewing inside her. He was just irritated that she wasn't responding to him, as if she hadn't heard him at all. Anger flickered in his eyes, making them glint with frustration. If you're still mad at me for not being there when you were sick the other day, your anger should have faded by now. It's been days. Emma looked at him with a faint smile, a trace of coldness on her lips. She had perfect vision. How could she have been so blind? Choosing such an arrogant and indifferent man? No. He wasn't entirely heartless. He had shown affection and patience toward Emma. He was just heartless toward her. The cold smile on her lips gradually faded as she stared at the man she had loved for almost 4 years, trying to see into his heart. Luke was unsettled by Emma's strange gaze. "Are you deaf or dumb?" Emma chuckled lightly. "Isn't it you who said one should not speak?" While eating, Luce was momentarily speechless, his face turning pale as veins throbbed at his temples. Emma still wore a faint smile, one as delicate as a feather but filled with icy disdain. Luce suddenly felt a wave of discomfort wash over him. Was she trying to catch his attention by acting this way? Was this some idea from her friends? She had always been enthusiastic about him before, but now she was cold and distant. Very well. He was paying more attention to her now. But this method only made him despise her more. Just as he was about to get angry again, his phone vibrated. A message notification popped up on Messenger. He opened it, and Emma caught sight of the avatar, a backpack, similar to Luke's own Messenger avatar, with the light a couple's edition. Hadn't they both used those couple avatars? The message list showed a red number 3, indicating 3 consecutive messages had been sent. Thanks to her sharp vision, she read one of the messages. Luke. Emma felt a sharp pain in her heart, as if it had been pierced. Her fingers tightened around the spoon, and her breath grew shallow. Seeing that the message was from that person, and noticing the text, Luke quickly picked up his phone and stood up, looking uneasy as he left the dining table. Just as he turned, Emma caught a flicker of passion in his eyes, which suffocated her heart, already wounded from countless blows. The spoon slipped from her hand. She stared at the untouched dishes on the table, unable to eat, and simply sat there, blankly staring into space. When she noticed the lights outside had turned on, she realized it was already 8 p.m. Luce had been in his study for over an hour with his phone. He was certainly patient with that person. In the past, when she had messaged him, it took hours, even days, for him to reply. Only when she sent voice messages did he respond with a simple hum or busy. But now he was attentively pondering over his reply in the study. Emma Maylan approached her, noticing that her plate was still mostly full. "Should I heat the dishes?" Emma lowered her eyes, hiding the redness around them, unwilling to show her vulnerability to Mayline. "No need. I'm full. Do you want me to prepare oatmeal porridge for you in advance tomorrow?" Emma paused slightly, then whispered, "Yes, please, Mayline. But don't let Luke know, okay?" Mayline looked at Emma with understanding. It was high time Emma prioritized herself over the Taylor family, who never appreciated her efforts. Why should she keep trying to please them? Emma returned to her room, took a bath, and then went to bed, scrolling through her messenger. She saw a post about a high school reunion from Lisa. With emotional text and pictures, she liked the post and commented, "What made you think of a class reunion?" A few seconds later, a video chat invite from Lisa popped up. "Hey, my dear Emma, you can't miss this high school reunion. Even though you're married, you can't just stay home playing the role of the perfect wife. What's wrong? You seem a bit off. Who upset you?" Emma playfully widened her eyes. "What are you talking about? When have I ever been unhappy?" "Lower your phone a bit. Tilt the camera down." Following her instructions, Emma lowered the angle, only to hear a scream from the other end. "Emma? Why are you wearing that cartoon nightgown again? What happened to this sexy slip dress?" Chapter 8. Return to the old Taylor mansion. Emma scratched her head, feeling a bit perplexed, then suddenly had a bright idea. She made a yay gesture with her hand and exclaimed, "A good rabbit never gives up." This cheerful proclamation matched her whimsical Peter Rabbit pajama dress perfectly. This amused Lisa on the other side of the video call. "Emma, do you have to be so comical? How old are you now? You're acting like we're still kids." Emma flashed a bright smile, showing a row of neat white teeth. "I'm forever 18, always youthful. But Lisa, I won't chat much longer. I need to get some sleep. Good night." "Haha, my dear Emma. Has your childlike innocence returned? When will you be your usual self again? It's still early, isn't it? Remember, you promised to come to the high school reunion. Many classmates we haven't seen in ages are hoping to catch up." Emma hesitated for a moment, but then nodded. It would be nice to get out and socialize a bit. With only luck on her mind, she had little interest in anyone else. "In a few days, I'll post the list of classmates attending the reunion in my friend circle. Don't forget, you promised to be on that list." Hearing Luce enter the room made Emma feel a bit flustered. She quickly told Lisa, "Let's continue this later. I need to rest now." She ended the video call in a hurry. From Luce's perspective, something seemed off. With a teasing glint in his eye, he looked at Emma and smirked slightly. Was she seeking advice from Lisa again? Emma ignored him and continued scrolling through TikTok and reading posts on social media. She noticed a notification that a user named Key and H had started following her. Usually, she shared fun anecdotes and sweet moments with Luke online. But as she browsed her past posts, she realized there wasn't a single picture of the two of them together, since Luke disliked taking photos. Their only shared image was from their marriage certificate. They even skipped taking wedding photos due to Luke's busy schedule. She thought they could always take pictures later, but after hastily obtaining their marriage certificate, Luke probably wouldn't have taken a photo with her at all if it hadn't been required. Feeling overwhelmed, she deleted all memories of their sweet moments from her social media. It was just an illusion anyway, a facade she had created. What was the point of keeping them? After an hour of diligent deleting, she erased every moment and feeling tied to luck from the past few years. In the end, everything associated with him was gone. Lisa, also using social media, noticed that all of Emma's posts from recent years had vanished. Suspecting Emma's account had been hacked, she sent a message on Messenger. "Emma, was your account hacked? All your posts are gone. You should check it out." Just as Emma was about to sleep, she received Lisa's message and was taken aback. How could she have overlooked this? Deleting her posts meant revealing to the world that her marriage was on shaky ground. Wasn't it like those celebrities on TV? As soon as they delete posts about certain people, everyone speculates about a falling out. If it was a couple's account, did that mean trouble in paradise? Realizing everything had been deleted, including unfollowing some people, Emma felt a wave of anxiety. How could she explain this? But Lisa provided a perfect excuse. Her account was hacked. Riding that wave, she replied, "What? Lisa, you can't be serious. My account was hacked." "Wow, your account was hacked. No wonder. You love luck so much. If anything happened, you wouldn't have the heart to delete all those sweet memories." This made Emma's heart sink. Did everyone think she was so infatuated with Lus? The realization was crushing. Should she tell Lisa about her decision? She had no idea how to face everything around her. Should she distance herself from their circle? Start anew? Maybe things would be simpler without Luck, without anyone connected to him. Luke thought Emma had been acting a bit off these past few days, so after showering, he went to the study to sleep. This made Emma feel lighter, both physically and emotionally. After returning from the old house, she made an excuse to stay with her parents. She didn't have to face Luke anymore. For the next month or two, she would spend time in the West, and hopefully, things would gradually improve. She, the supporting character, would bow out, leaving the stage to the main actors. The next day, Luke and Emma planned to visit the old house together. When Luke saw the thermal box Emma was carrying, a glimmer of interest sparked in his eyes. He got into his car and drove off. As usual, Emma hailed a cab toward the old house. Minutes later, Luke parked next to the old mansion. As soon as he stepped out, the housekeeper, Karen, rushed to welcome him, her face beaming with warmth. "Luke has returned. Mrs. Taylor has been waiting for you." "Karen, hello," Luke greeted as he stepped out and entered the mansion. Two workers in the yard were trimming the bushes and called out in unison, "Hello, Dr. Taylor." Luke nodded slightly and continued into the house. Karen didn't see Emma around and didn't seem concerned. She followed him inside. "Granny, I'm back," Luke called out as he entered. "Come closer, let me see you." His grandmother, overjoyed to see her grandson, stood up from her chair and walked toward him. "Granny, how have you been?" "Please take care of yourself," Luke said, supporting her as they returned to the sofa. "Let me see, have you lost weight?" Karen served them coffee and brought out some fruit desserts. "Mrs. Taylor, Luke is busy with work, but he looks radiant." She implied he hadn't lost any weight and was full of energy. There was no sign of Emma, which seemed to be of no concern to Luce's grandmother. She appeared to have completely forgotten about her, focusing instead on her grandson. "Granny, why do you want me to be fat?" Luce, now 28, still felt like a child in front of her. His grandmother laughed. "You're such a cheeky boy. Almost 30, and yet you're still my little boy. Has your stomach issue returned?" A special concern flickered in her eyes as she asked. "It hasn't come back," Luke replied, peeling a piece of fruit for her and handing it to her. Hearing that the stomach issue hadn't recurred, his grandmother smiled with satisfaction. Emma's gentle personality should be a good fit for the family, but she was just a bit worried. Chapter 9. The Servant's Dilemma. After a warm chat of nearly half an hour, Emma finally arrived at the Taylor family residence. As she stepped out of the car holding a thermal box, Karen opened the door for her. She gave Emma a quick once-over, her gaze carrying a subtle hint of disdain. "Emma, why are you only just getting here? Mr. Luce has been waiting for almost an hour." The resentment was clear in her voice. "Let me take that," she said, not considering whether Emma was willing, and took the thermal box, heading briskly inside. "Thank you, Karen." Emma followed behind, entering the old house. The two gardeners working outside took a discreet glance at Emma. They seemed unimpressed, thinking, so the newlyweds, not even a year into their marriage, were distancing themselves like this. Oddly enough, they both visited the old house on the same day. However, they arrived at different times, as if they were walking different paths. Could they be considering separation? In the past, when Emma encountered such glances, she would feel a bit awkward, with a touch of constraint on her face, and a hint of sadness in her heart. However, now she let them have a good look, feeding their gossiping curiosity. As she entered the old house, she saw the grandmother and grandson sitting on the couch, watching TV and enjoying a good laugh. The old lady's gleeful laughter created a harmonious picture. She paused and called out, "Grandma, Emma, you're here. Thank you for your hard work." It was obvious the grandmother was pleased with the results of Luce's recent treatment. But her demeanor wasn't particularly warm. She appeared affectionate, yet her eyes revealed a certain distance and politeness. The past version of herself hadn't noticed this. It took a life-altering experience for her to see just how aloof her grandmother-in-law was. Mrs. Taylor merely glanced at Emma, not inviting her to join them. She stood like an unnecessary addition, sidelined and discarded. When she was needed, they would call on her. When she wasn't well, she better not be in the way. In her previous life, she thought even if her mother-in-law and sister-in-law didn't like her, at least Mrs. Taylor truly cared about her. Each time she visited the old house, she'd act obediently and play the part of a good daughter-in-law, doing little favors for the old lady. Today, however, Emma just smiled and remained silent. She walked silently to the couch across the room, sat down, and took out her phone from her purse. She began to scroll through Messenger, checking her friends' updates. Luke seemed to have noticed her unusual behavior. He gave her a sidelong glance. Just as Emma sat down, a voice called out, "Karen, ask Emma to go to the kitchen and see what delicious food she prepared for Luck today." Grandma, I'm arranging it right now," Karen replied, frowning at Emma. When had she moved to sit over there? Doesn't she see what's going on? Can't she see that I'm running around in the kitchen? Linda took a leave today, and she was the only one in the kitchen, too busy to handle everything. Usually, as soon as Emma arrived, she'd take over the kitchen. But today, why does she have the leisure to play with her phone? Ignoring Karen's reproachful gaze, Emma glanced at the two seated in the armchair and said with a light smile, "Grandma, I've been feeling under the weather these past few days, so why don't you let Karen cook for him?" Mrs. Taylor seemed a little surprised, unable to believe it. "Emma, you're a doctor. You should know how to take care of yourself when you're not feeling well. Drinking some herbal coffee should help." Who else but Emma, who had faced life and death, could understand this statement? In her previous life, she had wanted to act a little petulant to win some care and attention from Luce when she saw him being cold to her, making up excuses like not feeling well, but that's exactly how Mrs. Taylor responded to her. Even her words were the same. The undertone was, "Don't be so overly dramatic." If it wasn't for Luck being unable to get used to Karen's cooking, why would she need her to cook? And what happened today? Usually, she wouldn't need to be told. She would take the initiative to go to the kitchen and cook a few dishes for Luck herself. Did something happen between the young couple? Women naturally have a few days when they don't feel well, and it's not something that can be easily fixed by taking some medicine or drinking herbal coffee, Emma said indifferently, showing no signs of getting up to go to the kitchen. Mrs. Taylor looked at her steadily, her eyes filled with a hint of displeasure. Then she looked at Luce to gauge his attitude. Lou frowned slightly. It was true that women should take care during their periods, but the kitchen did have hot water. "Oh, she's acting high and mighty now, is she?" Karen went back to work shortly after giving birth. Doesn't she know how silly her daintiness appears? Karen came over with a long face, speaking in a falsely cheerful voice. "Emma, at my age, I too would sometimes fall ill. Regular exercise not only strengthens the body, but also improves overall health. I went back to work shortly after giving birth. We weren't so meticulous back then. Women who are too picky make themselves prone to illness." Her words were filled with underlying meanings, covertly ridiculing her for flaunting her wealth and being overly dramatic. How could Emma not understand? With a feigned smile, she glanced at the grandmother and grandson in front of her, noticing that they didn't seem to find Karen's words inappropriate. Her eyes gradually turned icy. She gave a cold chuckle in her heart and said nonchalantly to Karen, "Karen, aren't you aware that women from your generation worked incredibly hard? So, it's not surprising that you were raised to be the backbone of the family, capable of handling everything. However, times have changed. It's been decades since those days, and it's no longer an era where women are expected to be subservient. My parents raised me to be an independent woman, not to serve others like a maid. Otherwise, they might have been disappointed. After years of education, it would be ridiculous if I ended up being no better than those who still cling to outdated norms. Karen originally wanted to critique Emma, but found herself being ridiculed instead. In her day, her parents indeed treated her like a laborer. She needed to work hard daily, or else there would be no food to eat. The same was true after marrying into her husband's family. This could be pitied, but she shouldn't take it as a model worth emulating. As a glorious history to praise and use it to subtly mock Emma for being so delicate. Emma, of course, should not have concerned herself with her. But if she did not react, Karen would keep on making snide remarks, not thinking it offensive at all. So, by her words, Emma clarified that she was the cherished daughter of her parents, not a maid for the Taylor family. She emphasized how times were different, and that she was no longer the Emma of the past, who was used as a doormat. Did they think they could order her around? In their dreams. Upon hearing this, Luce was surprised he couldn't believe how Emma could infuriate someone without facing consequences. Seeing his grandmother's upset expression, he restrained his emotions, switching to a serious and cold demeanor. Karen felt choked, her face turning a pale green. She looked flustered and gnashed her teeth. Today, Linda is on leave, so I'm the only one. I'm afraid I won't be able to cope. Oh, it's unfortunate that Linda is on leave. Why don't I call Mayline from the neighborhood to come and help? Did they give her the day off because they wanted me to help in the kitchen? I may have let things slide in the past, but that doesn't mean I'm naive. Enough is enough. Don't make a fuss about it, Karen. Just prepare a few dishes that Luck loves, and I'll be fine with anything else. Chapter 10. The Clash. Mrs. Taylor knew that Emma would not step foot in the kitchen today. Hadn't her earlier words implied exactly this? Although she seemed somewhat dissatisfied, she did not say anything more. Lou tactfully changed the subject, expressing his concern. Grandma, how could you eat just anything? Emma has prepared some oatmeal for you, which helps reduce cholesterol levels. Aren't you going to serve the oatmeal you brought from home for Grandma? Emma felt slightly guilty. Maylene had prepared the porridge, but Luck didn't know this. Initially, she didn't want to obey his orders, finding his condescending attitude irritating. However, the mention of the porridge made her feel guilty, so she obediently went to the kitchen, found a bowl, and served it to Mrs. Taylor. When she returned, Luke took the bowl from her. Grandma, it's at just the right temperature now. You can have it. Warmed by the sight of her affectionate grandson, Mrs. Taylor smiled kindly and took a few sips. How's the taste, Grandma? Mrs. Taylor frowned slightly. The taste wasn't as good as before. Was it bland? Or had her taste buds lost sensitivity? Seeing that his grandmother didn't look satisfied, even Luke felt a twinge of displeasure. He glanced at Emma, trying to gauge her expression, but she seemed guilty and evasive, turning her head away to sit on the sofa, bowing her head to play with her phone again. However, she suggested, Grandma, if you find it bland, perhaps you could add some salt. Emma knew that Maylene's cooking tended to be low in salt. Grandma, your health is better suited to less savory food. That's why there's less salt in it. I guess a couple of bites would be all right. As an older woman, my body is indeed better off with less savory food. Despite saying this, her face didn't look satisfied. She put down the bowl and looked at Luke. Lou, when can I finally hold a great-grandchild? Grandma, I'm pretty busy with work. There's no rush. Emma's fingers trembled slightly. A great-grandchild? In her past life, she had been pregnant for only 2 months, a life that hadn't had the chance to see the world. Her hands clenched the corners of her clothes tightly. Hatred began to smolder in her eyes as she slowly turned her gaze toward Luke, reflecting shattered light in her eyes. How could Luce expect her to bear his child? Because in his heart, only the woman from his past was worthy of that, right? You rascal, you aren't getting any younger. Your cousin had 2 kids at your age. I wonder if I'll have the chance to hold a great-grandchild in my lifetime. Luke didn't even spare a glance at Emma. His deep eyes were dark and opaque as he coaxed his grandmother. Grandma, you have a long life ahead of you. There's no rush for a great-grandchild. You'll have one eventually. What did he mean by that? There's no rush? So he's waiting for that woman to come back, get a divorce, marry her, and then have a baby? Emma's breath hitched. She suppressed the hatred that was about to explode in her heart, just in time to hear a sweet voice call out, "Grandma." Soraya Taylor and Jane Taylor had arrived. "Oh, my dear." "Soraya, how could you bear to come and see me, an old woman?" Soraya, dressed in an expensive outfit and glittering heels, strode over to Mrs. Taylor without care, smiling sweetly. "Grandma, are you blaming me? Just because I haven't come to see you in a month?" "Don't exaggerate." She then sweetly called out to Luck, brother. She seemed not to notice Emma sitting by the sofa and sat down next to Mrs. Taylor, asking in a spoiled manner, "Grandma, what are you talking about?" Previously, Emma would have immediately greeted her warmly, but now she just kept scrolling on her phone, not saying a word or taking the initiative to greet her with a smile. Jane, wearing a sophisticated hairstyle and a high-end outfit, glanced at Emma, her eyebrows furrowing slightly with apparent disgust, before heading toward Mrs. Taylor. "Mom," she greeted with a smile. Emma got up nonchalantly, flashing a faint smile at Jane. "Mom, you've been looking younger." After all, she was her elder, and Jane was still the wife of Luck. Her upbringing didn't allow her to be disrespectful to her elders unless provoked first. Jane indeed looked more youthful each time they met. It wasn't just flattery on Emma's part. Every time she saw her, she seemed like a queen in regal attire. Every gesture radiated an invisible authority. Luce's eyes inherited her traits. The mother and son had a striking resemblance, while Soraya took after her father more. Although her looks couldn't compete with famous stars, she wasn't too shabby either. She had always wanted to enter the entertainment industry and was nurtured in music from an early age. Apparently, she was quite a pianist. Emma didn't bother waiting for a response or an equal amount of respect. She just sat down and continued to play with her phone. Scenes from her previous life were about to replay yet again, Soraya making snide remarks about her, followed by Jane examining her with contempt as if looking at something dirty. She had no idea why Jane had agreed to her marrying Luck, despite her clear disdain. Perhaps there were hidden reasons. Seeing Emma not come over to greet her or attempt to make conversation, Soraya's expression instantly turned frosty. Her eyes filled with anger as she spoke in annoyance. "Emma, can't you see me?" A sharp voice pierced Emma's ear, but she didn't look at Soraya. Instead, she responded indifferently. "I'm sorry, from where I'm sitting. I can only see those who bother to see me. In other words, if you can't see me, I can't see you." "You." Soraya abruptly stood up. At a height of 5'6", even with her heels, she towered over Emma by a few inches. Glaring down at her, she questioned fiercely, "Are you blind? Can't you see me sitting on your right?" Without changing her expression, Emma replied calmly, as a doctor, "Not being blind is a basic requirement." "Why should I specifically turn to my right to look at you? Or do you think I should naturally see you? Don't you know that a human's eyes see straight rather than sideways when opened for the first time?